I'm Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network, coming to you from my Tommy John's home studio, and this is your Best Bets episode for the opening night in the NBA. On tonight's show, we'll give you best bets for Knicks, Celtics, and Lakers versus Wolves. We'll break it down in detail. We'll give you the handicap. We'll get in the lab. We'll mix this stuff up, and then we'll see what we come up with. We got a big balls parlay coming at you. The Ballsy Parlay of the night coming at you later. We got all sorts of cool stuff. You can check out everything that we talk about in the award-winning Action Network app. It's the best way for you to track your picks. You can track all of our futures. If you go on the Action Network app right now, if you download that sucker and you open up the NBA section, if you open up the article section on the front page, you are going to find so many best bets. I have been just like dragging them out of our writers like I am ripping the souls from them. We have long shots. We have title bets. We have season-long specials. I got a special thing on Victor Wembanyama, just how to bet Wemby this season. We've got all of these types of things, and it's going to give you links to all these other episodes that we did over the summer. If you're coming back after being gone, welcome back. We're glad to have you. Lots of stuff on the Buckets YouTube page. Make sure to check that out as well at youtube.com/theactionnetwork. Join me tonight for the best bets episode. I got Sean Little. He's at Chicago Flow. I got Jay Money. He's at Jay Money is Money. We are going to get into best bets on the evening. But first, fellas, I do want to talk to you a little bit about kind of your outlook for the season. Jay, my man, I want to ask you this. Who do you think right now has the best chance of winning the NBA title?
That's a really tough question. Obviously, injuries can always come into play. I'm going to go with the sleeper. I'm going to go with the New York Knickerbockers.
Holy shit. I just assumed he was going to say Celtics. I was like, Celtics, and we'll go on.
Too easy.
Big swing from Jay Money. I like it. Sean Little, who right now has the best chance of winning the NBA title before we get into the injury nonsense of the next 6 months?
Yeah, I'm going to say the Knicks are definitely in the discussion, and that's not just me talking from a homer perspective, just because I think the East is very top-heavy, and they're going to be able to compete with the people at the top. We did a little write-up earlier going into the year. I think the most mispriced number on the board is the Dallas Mavericks at plus 1,100, so I've sprinkled there. So I'll say Dallas at plus 1,100.
I'm going to do this. So I would say OKC, but they have to play in the same division as Denver and Minnesota, and that means 8 games versus those two teams. That's tough. You know who doesn't have that tough a schedule? How about the Phoenix Suns, who I continue to love at 30-1? That's in my best bets file. I just think that's the best title value on the board. 30-1 for a team with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, coached by Mike Budenholzer in what is, I think, a softer division this season. That's who I think has the best value to win the NBA title. All right, enough futures. We've been doing that for 6 months. It's time to actually get in the lab. Let's do this thing. All right. We're going to start with Knicks versus Celtics. Knickerbockers obviously remake their team over the summer. They add Mikal Bridges alongside adding Karl Anthony Towns late in the season. A totally new team here. This is not the Villanova Knicks that we thought that we were going to get. Mostly the Villanova Knicks, but not entirely the Villanova Knicks. Line on this game, minus 5.5. This bounced to 5 after the Towns trade. It actually went from 5.5 to 5. Then Mitchell got hurt. It went back to 5.5. Then they traded for Towns. It went back to 5. And now, as we are honing in on less than 24 hours here as we record this, we're back to 5.5 for the Boston Celtics at home. Total in this game, 221.5. A little bit of movement towards the under on this one. Celtics money line is minus 225. Knicks plus 188. Sean Little, what's your best bet for Knicks Celtics?
I'm going to go with the prop to open up the Buckets season. I'm going Deuce McBride over 8.5 points, minus 110. I'm going to go Deuce McBride over 1.5 triples, minus 125. I'm going to play both.
Okay. All right. Let's get into this real quick. We'll get Jay Money's pick because I know he's got one on the later game, and we'll go to that in a minute. All right. Give me the cap on Deuce McBride.
Yeah, there's a few question marks surrounding the Knicks coming into the year, right? Obviously, we know there's a new addition in Cat. How is that going to play? Bridges is also a new addition. How is that going to incorporate? But we started just getting a little more granular on the additions. Mikal Bridges tweaking the jump shot. That is very real. You can go watch every jumper on NBA.com. It has changed. It does look different. 2 for 19 from the 3 in preseason. And visually just looks a little uncomfortable on the release, right? Something to monitor. Let's talk about Josh Hart. He flat out verbatim on a microphone said, I'm lost. I have no idea what my role is essentially right now with the Knicks. During the preseason, he only had 2 shots in 90 court minutes, only 2 points. 2 shots, 2 points, and he verbatim said, I don't know what's going on and how I fit in. He has to get that figured out. But one thing I do know that is crystal clear, fellas, is that's Miles Deuce McBride's role off the bench, and that's the score. He led the team in preseason field goal attempts at 16 per game, third in points, only behind Cat and Brunson at 17.3 points, led in minutes at 28. There's not going to be this curve of Tibbs trusting Miles McBride, and his role with this team is solidified. And then when you talk about the bench overall, it's just extremely thin, fellas. Precious Achiuwa now out with an injury. Landry Shamet cut with the dislocated shoulder. He's not even on the squad anymore. So it's essentially Deuce McBride, campaign, Tyler Kolek, TJ Warren. Those are the guys that are going to be producing offense off the bench. Maybe they get Bubble Warren and he can fill it up some nights. But I'm struggling to find out how they're going to offensively get rolling off the bench. But I know one guy that is going to come off and get a ton of shots and a ton of touches is Deuce McBride. Last couple of things here. 15 attempts in the paint this preseason. That is something that jumped off the screen when I was watching the Knicks in the preseason and film leading up to, I guess, game 1 here to open the season. 11 of them being at the rim. That's just something he didn't do last year. He was shooting threes almost exclusively. If he's going to have the free reign, especially in that second unit, to get to the cup, that's going to be a lot more opportunities to score some buckets. Deuce McBride, over 8.5, 2+ threes, 9 attempts per 3 from 3 in the preseason. He's going to get those up. That's his bread and butter. I think this is a big year loading for Deuce McBride, especially if they have no other option offensively off the bench.
Okay, I like it. Look, I do think that Deuce has earned his way into Tibbs' good graces. I think that Tibbs will actually trust him. I like this. I like this move a lot. I will say I do have a play on this game. I'm giving out fewer bets this season on buckets, but I will go ahead and give it out. I'm going to play the villain to all of my Action Network colleagues. I'm taking the Boston Celtics -5.5. I got this projected at 7.6. I like the Knicks. I think they're a good team, but this is a lot of new pieces to try and integrate on opening night on the road on a banner night. Banner teams have done actually very well over the last couple of seasons. It's been very successful for them in those kind of spots. But for me, actually, the bigger reason to go isn't the projection, and it's not any of those types of things. It's actually this. It's that Eastern Conference home teams have been absolutely dynamite in game 1, especially home favorites have been killer at home. It's Eastern Conference. So I started looking at this and was like a little bit interested in like why that would be the case, right? Like what would it be about this that would actually make this kind of relevant? And the answer to me is just largely that I started splitting it because I was like, well, the West is really tough. And so it's just more likely that those spreads are going to be tighter early in the season because it's more competitive versus the Eastern Conference. It really is kind of stratified. So we get this consistent kind of trend of teams being good at home if they're in Eastern Conference teams. And the trends have been very strong on this for the East. It's especially, I will also say this, that home teams in these Tuesday openers have been really good too. They've been really, that's been like the spot to kind of hit is they win these games and they cover as a home team on the first day of the season on these Tuesday openers. So I will go with the Boston Celtics -5.5 for my best bet on this episode. Jay, I know you don't have a play on this one, but I am curious as to your thoughts on Celtics versus Knicks.
Yeah, I really like Sean's prop there. I mean, they really only have 3 guys that's coming off the bench. I'll be honest, I do like the Knicks here plus the 5.5. Obviously, it's not good that they don't have Precious Achiuwa out there. He would have been probably like that backup 5. Now they're probably going to have to go to Jericho Sims. He can kind of stretch the floor as well. Just kind of one of those players that can kind of guard like 2 through 5 if you have to switch. So not having Precious here really hurts, to be perfectly honest with you. But if you really look at it, obviously we know Tibbs going to play his guys, the starters, 38, 39, maybe 40 minutes anyway. So we don't have to worry too much about the bench. But if you just look at the matchups, the Knicks are one of the teams that match up really well versus the Celtics. We know that they got injured last year, but you have OG Anunoby who can guard 1 through 5 out there. Mikal Bridges, even though the offense isn't there, he's still going to be able to stay with either Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown as well. So you have 2 defensive stalwarts to go up against the Celtics' best players. When you have Cat going up against Horford, that's an advantage for the Knicks, in my opinion. So obviously you still got Brunson. You're going to need Hart to go out there and give some production as well. And Sean, he doesn't need to know what his role. Your role let's be Josh Hart. Go out there and get 10, 12 rebounds. You know what I mean? And just be that glue type of guy. You don't need a role. That's the reason why you're Josh Hart, because you're that type of guy that they just throw in. You're a do-it-all type of guy. Play defense. If the Knicks are going to stay close in this game or win this game, which I do think they have an outside chance, it's going to be for defense. We know that these players are not going to be all the way in shooting rhythms. It's early in the season. You're sitting out of preseason. You're not really doing much. The Celtics can ball. I love the Celtics. They made me a lot of money last season, but starting off the season without Porzingis, I do think there are some deficiencies, in my opinion. They're a super team when they have Porzingis. Without them, they're a little bit vulnerable, in my opinion. I know that this is banner night, but I feel like the Knicks are coming to play in this game, and getting 5.5 here, I think is a few too many points. I think the Knicks could really have a shot to win this game outright. So I actually like the Knicks here, plus 5.5.
21-4 last season without KP. 21-4 last season without Kristaps Porzingis.
Is that straight up though, or ATS, Matt?
That's straight up. That's straight up.
They weren't going against teams like the Knicks as well.
Okay. All right. By the way, I did pull up the numbers to make sure I had this. Since 2014, so last 10 seasons. Okay, last 10 years. First game, Eastern Conference team, home favorites. 44, 29, and 3 at 60% ATS for those teams. So Eastern Conference home favorites do very well in their home opener. All right, you know who also does really well? Tommy John's. Because we're coming to you from our Tommy John's home studio, and that's because great games start with great underwear, and Tommy John's makes the greatest. So Tommy John sponsors this fine program as well as several of our other podcasts. They sent us a bunch of stuff, and we were all like, all right, here's some stuff. Okay. And then the review, the Slack started pouring in from people being like, I can't believe how, I'm not making this up. Really, I cannot believe how comfortable it is. And everyone was like, all right, whatever. And then their package would arrive, and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. I don't have any anymore because my wife tried on one t-shirt and now all of the stuff is hers. It's just now she's running around the house in this stuff. But I will tell you that the pajama pants, amazing, absolutely super comfortable. Underwear, unbelievable. All this stuff, and the t-shirts are absolutely dynamite. It is the most comfortable t-shirt to sleep in that I have ever found. Sean, I know you're a believer in this.
Yeah, no, this is no question. Look, and I wouldn't sell you a lie here for a product that I didn't believe in. I guess I could say.
I would.
First of all, look, really quick. You guys remember? I remember when I heard Tommy John sponsored us, and I immediately thought of that old Brett Favre commercial, and I was like, "Oh man, this is about to be some interesting product." I'll put it like that. But I got it in the mail. I threw on the drawers, the underwear, just like Matt said. Sensational, extremely comfortable. Everything they sent us was really, really comfy. The underwear are worth going to pick some up. They're the real deal, no doubt about it.
You can get 25% off your first order right now at TommyJohn.com/buckets. That's 25% off at TommyJohn.com/buckets. You know who else loves it is the New York Knicks. Because the roommate show with Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart, they're always raving about it. They're big fans of Tommy John. Tommy John's a big fan of them. Works out great. And that's why our Ballsy Parlay of the week, even though I'm on Celtics, this is what we're going to get into on tonight's show. All right, I looked this up. Here's what we're going to get into for the Ballsy Parlay. Okay, we're taking the Knicks money line because J Money thinks that they can win outright. Okay, and that's good enough for me. So we're taking Knicks money line. We're taking the over 221.5, and I'll tell you why that's ballsy. Because the under has been absolutely dynamite in these opening night games. That's been the way to play these games, especially on Tuesdays, is to get into the unders. They have been way better in these games, but I love the over in this game. By the way, Tuesday games in general since 2003, 59, 34, and 1 to the under. That's better than 63%. We don't care. I think this number is too low. I think even with the officiating, which we're expecting to be a little bit more rough and tumble, that this is going over. So we're going over 221.5, and we're throwing in Sean's Miles McBride over 9.5. That gets us up to a juicy plus 634.
Okay.
Same game parlay. Knicks money line over 221.5. Deuce McBride over 9.5. That is your ballsy parlay of the week, brought to you by the amazing Tommy John's. All right, in the late game, we've got the Los Angeles Lakers taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. The league put Anthony Edwards on opening night, and that's to me versus LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and I guess Bronny James, and like very openly are like, Ant's the face of the league now. Like, Ant's our guy now. We're putting him on opening night in LA at Staples. Line on this game bounced around a little bit when it opened. It was kind of interesting. Like, the line kind of bounced around. People didn't know what to do with it. It's now settled at Lakers plus 1.5. You can find a Wolves -1 in the market. It's pretty close to a pick. -1, -105 is one number that you can find in the market. The total on this game is only 219. So that one's in play as well. That's where that one gets to. All right, J Money, give me your best bet for Lakers Wolves.
Yeah, let's ball out here with the Lakers plus the 1.5 in this particular spot. You want to go ahead and get the cap for it too,
Drop
man?
the cap for me, man. Give it to me.
Like the Lakers here, man. This is an unpopular play. A lot of people are going to just look at the two teams like, all right, Wolves are the better team. And you may be right, but I don't think that they're going to be the better team to start the season. Them getting Julius Randle, likely throwing him in the starting lineup is just going to mess up everything, in my opinion. Obviously, Finch is a really great coach over there, but it's going to give these guys it's going to take some time to figure out lineups on the bench, who's going to run backup point guard, all this type of stuff, man. So it's just my opinion. And you can say the same thing about the Knicks as well, but Tibbs doesn't really have a choice. His 5 starters are his starters, and he has to go with those. But as far as the Wolves, I just feel like a lot of moving parts. I love them getting Dante DiVincenzo. I just don't really like the Randall move. I feel like he's a different type of energy in the locker room. These guys are still surprised that Cat's not there as well. The whole timing of that trade was really crazy, in my opinion, like literally right before the season. But I just feel like the Wolves are still a little bit of shell-shocked, them not having Cat over there. Obviously, he was there his whole career. Anthony Edwards was used to him. Rudy Gobert was used to him. All these guys. Michael Conley. So I love Anthony Edwards. I do think he's one of those ones, an absolute baller. But this is a team game here. This is JJ Redick's first home game as well, and I think he wants to start off with the win. Please don't play Bronny in this game. I would not like to see Bronny for a single second in this game. That's the only thing I'd like to say. I don't want to see the LeBron and Son. Not this game. Save that shit for a later day. But for this game particularly, I like the Lakers a ton of more continuity here. They don't usually start off the season well as well, so I think there's even more emphasis this year to start the season off. More importantly, with the win, when no one really thinks they can get it done. I like the Lakers in this particular spot to get the win.
You know, I love starting off the season with 2 Oppo plays versus J Money. Love doing that, so I can just start off 0-2. Love doing that because I like the Wolves in this spot. I like them on power rating. Western Conference home dogs last 10 years in these season openers are 6 and 14 ATS, 30%. They are not good. They are 4 and 16 straight up. So I'll probably just go ahead and grab the money line on the Wolves here. I'll lay the 1 point on this as well. Sean, what are your thoughts on Jay's play on the Lakers and this game in general?
Yeah, this is interesting, right? So, like, to start off all seasons, NFL, NBA, whatever league you focus on, I think it's imperative to take it easy to start the season. And I think a lot of the things that J Money laid out for Minnesota are very true. I mentioned this on a podcast previously. You do not know what it's like to play with Julius Randle until you play with Julius Randle. That is going to need some time to get figured out. And when the ball sticks, how are they going to act? If Finch doesn't want the ball to stick at all, there's a lot of things to figure out when it comes to the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think Dante DiVincenzo is actually a pretty seamless integration, but there's a lot of different things they need to figure out. So this is a tough one. I mean, this is about as coin flip as you can get. LeBron doesn't seem like he's lost the step yet. I know we're waiting for it to happen, and I think as a bettor myself, I'm kind of waiting for it to happen so I could try to get out in front of some of these season-long props and potentially some of these totals. But I'm just not confident enough to fade LeBron yet. So we'll see how this looks. It's tough. I can't go either way. This is a coin flip game for me. It could easily be the Lakers coming out and getting the W. And I could also see, Ant maybe showing out and doing what they do, and they lean. And maybe Randall doesn't get a ton of minutes. Maybe that's how this gets incorporated. There's a lot of question marks. So that was the reason why I looked for a prop in game 1, because I'm confident that McBride is going to get that run and get shot attempts. And Tibbs, a guy that really only deals with players that he trusts Miles McBride. That's why I look that direction.
You get some more Tommy Johns, man, because you're not ballsy at all.
I think Julius Randle. Julius Randle only played one preseason game as well, if I'm not mistaken. Still coming back from injury. I think they should start Naz Reid and bring Randle off the bench, but something tells me that would piss Randle off immediately. Like he wouldn't even get off to a good start over there. The ball sticks with Randle. The ball sticks with Anthony Edwards as well. It's gonna. In my opinion, if this was in the middle of the season, I'd be taking the Wolves for sure. But first game of the season, with them still being shocked that Cat's gone, having Julius Randle on the team, new energies. And new energy for the Lakers, which is worth noting. Everyone's saying that they couldn't stand it. The energy was really low last year. Well, the vibes are immaculate right now, at least to start the season. And I think we see that Tuesday night.
My saving grace here is going to be Dante DiVincenzo. I trust Dante to kind of save the because they are all very in on Dante. They love that energy that he's bringing, and I think that he's going to have a really big season. Sean gave him out as a sixth man of the year back when he was still with the Knicks, and I love it now. Now I'm like, hell yeah! As long as Mike Conley can stay on the floor, I love this for Dante DiVincenzo. I think he could be great this season. My actual best bet on this game is actually going to be the under at 219.5. This was it popped in 220s over the summer. Western Conference in particular, these games for Western Conference home dogs in their opener. So the idea here, if you're looking at the logic between what's all right, why does the home dog matter for a total? If it's a Western Conference team that's expected to be better, but they don't outperform because they're the worst team, their offense gets really limited. 19, 12, and 1 since 2009 home dogs in a Western Conference opener. So that's for the under in those spots. So I will go ahead. I lean Wolves and I like the under on this game. But Jay, his official play is Los Angeles Lakers. You like them on the money line, right?
Yeah, either one. I mean, if you're going to give me plus 1.5, I'm always going to take it. But yeah, I like them to win. Obviously, if I'm taking plus 1.5, I'm expecting them to win. So it's up to you guys. If you want to take the plus 1.5, if you're getting plus 1, you might as well lay the money line.
All right. Sean Little's got Miles McBride over on. Sorry, Sean. Hit me your Miles McBride.
Yeah. No, there's an 8.5 in the market for Miles McBride as we record this. And then there's 2+3s minus 125.
Very nice. All right. And our parlay as well. Knicks money line, the over, and Miles McBride over on points. All right. That's going to do it for your first Best Bets episode. We'll be back tomorrow night. I'm pretty sure we're going to do Buckets Live. So go subscribe and turn on notifications on YouTube. Be on the lookout on Twitter. I think we're doing Buckets Live tomorrow night after the games. We'll react to those. We'll get you set for the Wednesday slate. We got full Wednesday slate with so many games to bet. Going to be awesome. Make sure to keep it right here on Buckets. Thanks for joining us. My thanks to David, our producer, as well as Tito Bonach, our video guy, getting us up at youtube.com/The Action Network. We'll see you guys again next time. Till tomorrow, let's get buckets.